You're watching Cultish Creative YouTube. We are going to do a Matt's Cultish review of Seeing Underworld live. This is an audio visual essay, if you will. I think that's the best thing that we can call this. I wrote this, really proud on it, really proud of it, and I feel like I want to read this, not just have it live on the page, because as you might have heard, some people aren't into reading these days, and I'm going to try to do my part here. So grab your cup of coffee. Cheers. Saturday morning. I want to read you this essay I wrote about going to see Underworld live with my wife, my brother-in-law, Bronson. Let's get into this. When my wife started freaking out about a limited date Underworld tour in the US, I knew we'd be going. I didn't really know the group, but we are very good at evangelizing music to each other. And like with so many other things, seeing and experiencing it live is the best way to get a person into something. But before you get into it, you have to make fun of it, at least a little. We both do this, for the record. So Underworld, what did I know about them when she pitched it? First thought was dance, four on the floor, not techno. Not sure what Oakenfeldy place to place them, that type thing going on somewhere, right? I figured they were one of the groups my buddy Jim showed me and genuinely got me to appreciate when we were in college. I've never been an electronic music super fan, but I'm down to casually listen and even critically think about why so many other people love them. Then I found out our buddy Kennedy loves them too. Like, guys, I have this live version of a song somebody caught on their phone in 2004, and I have it saved on my phone, so I can't share it except directly with you. So just come listen to it in my car. It's the best. That level of love. I appreciate that passion. I will try anything if somebody is passionate like that. My wife had tickets to see them in February or March of 2020, right when the pandemic canceled said tickets. They were one of her missed shows like that. Conveniently, on this tour, they're going to do a tour stop in Denver, and seeing as her brother Bronson is out there, I said, let's do it. And she booked the tickets, got the flights, etc., etc. Now, perhaps unfairly or less than charitably, but remember that you have to make fun of it part. Because my wife and Kenny were really into it, I started jokingly saying I was going to a goth rave. They're not goth per se at all, but they had some mutual goth-esque appreciations, and I like how annoyed they were when I said it, so I kept saying it. In the time leading up to the show, I learned that A, Bronson was also a fan. B, I sort of remember the song Bronson told me he knew, Born Slippy Nooks? I don't know how to say this. This is me, my fandom. But he knew Born Slippy Nooks from its spot in Train Spotting and on the soundtrack. Shout out to the CD. And C, they definitely weren't goth, but were part of rave culture. And seeing as I wasn't really into either of those things, I continued to be very amused by telling more and more people, oh, I'll be gone that weekend. My wife and my brother-in-law are taking me to some goth rave in Denver. You know they're not goth, right? I don't know. You and Kenny both like them, so are you sure they're not? They have the name Under in their name. That sounds pretty goth. I'm fun to be married to, can you tell? At our local mall here in PA, we had this Panda Express in the food court and a tasty Chinese buffet on the outer perimeter. We kind of knew that Panda Express was a little more McDonald's style, and TCB, as we called it, was probably a bit more authentic, if only because it wasn't staffed by high school kids we knew, and you had to either enter from the parking lot or go down this very sketchy corridor to get into a side door of the restaurant. I remember going on a church youth group type trip to New York City and having somebody take us to a real Chinese restaurant. I remember asking, like, TCB, not PE, right? And being told, no, I said real. You'll see. So we went, a million things got put on the table, and I saw some better than General Tso dish that definitely didn't taste like the sweet and tangy sauce I had come to love, melted my sinuses that night. Some hints of orange and a special chicken made me literally go, wow, when I tasted it. And it turns out there's more to culinary experiences than your regional mall. Being a teenager is wild. You're constantly learning all sorts of stuff like this if you're willing to experiment. Your town has a mall, a church, a little league field and all sorts of funny versions of things, and you and your friends hang out in and around them. But then you leave town and there are all sorts of other details you'd never considered to find out about. It includes going to big cities and getting cultured. In other cases, it includes going to smaller towns and realizing they only had a Panda Express and no TCB. Can you even imagine? And making fun of them. Music is no different. Scenes form around groups. Some of it travels well, some of it doesn't. Some of it's corporate and scalable, some of it's not. But you can't find out unless somebody takes you there. The best experiences show up when the person taking you says, "No, I said real. You'll see." My generic problem with the electronic music of my youth when techno was going to take over the world in the 90s because, I don't know, computers, I guess, and the universal way to mock it was to do the Night at the Roxbury head nod, was I got bored listening to it. And at the time, I listened to a lot of punk bands, but not just punk. I fell in love with metal first and then hardcore, and for whatever reason, I got obsessed with dancehall reggae and old school hip hop, and then contemporary underground hip hop and some of the mainstream rap because it was also good at that time, and all that stuff had diversity within it. I could never hear the diversity in electronic music. My buddy Jim in college, mentioned before, helped change my thinking about it a few years later, but at the time, I kind of listened to everything but that person. And again, out of boredom, not out of anything critical in some articulated sense. Somebody once explained how hip hop sounds like driving through the city with your windows rolled down. You heard snippets of what the city was listening to. A car radio there, a TV through an open window there, street bander on one corner, a busker on another, etc. It always made sense to me. Part of my draw to the entire genre is how it plays on my ADHD like that. Now, dance music always sounded like a more isolated, less ADHD-oriented experience to me. Electronic music made me think of headphones and drugs that I wasn't interested in taking. I thought this 2 times the heart rate music probably was really great to drift in and out of consciousness to. It wasn't sexy or dangerous, though. It was embryonic, but on speed. That's how teenage me thought about dance, EDM, house at all. My ADHD was bored because I didn't take the drugs or want to have something on that felt so repetitious. It's actually still not my thing, as you can probably tell. But I learned a lot about what I appreciate in the genre, mostly how incomplete my understanding was, and then how much I enjoy filling in all these gaps. We hopped out of the Uber, got in line for the show, and within minutes, my wife pointed out, "Look, no goth people," to which I responded, "Nope, right there." You already knew I'd find at least one goth rave. We all laughed. I proceeded to explain to her and her brother that I really had finally looked the band up in earnest that morning, and I could now say they're not goth at all. They're dance and techno with atmospheric and progressive elements and some seriously trippy stream of consciousness lyrics. "Stop making fun of me," was uttered. I stopped. "I am taking this seriously. Now at least," was declared. "Not sure yet," was retorted. We found a great spot to watch that night in the crowd unfold, mostly because we went to the bar first. The bar was next to a special Friends of the Band seating area and Americans with Disability Act section all roped off. It was off to the side of the stage and had a pretty great view with a slightly elevated vantage point. This is an important detail when you have a short wife. While she was unconvinced of the spot at first, Bronson and I were decidedly entertained by the guy with a big gulp of soda in the motorized wheelchair who is the ADA section bouncer. And not in any mean way. This guy scooting around and wagging his finger. If you gave him a TV show, I'd watch it. Absolute professional, wildly entertaining, and part of the concert going experience you cannot get from home. As if the line wasn't enough information, the room was full of mostly people in their 50s and older. The group is actually in their late 60s, as I found out. So this is an enduring act. I love a detail like that. And there were tons of random kids mixed in. The show was ages 16 and up. And then us in between ages. The ratios of goths to run-of-the-mill alternative music fans was decisively 5% to 95%. See? Yeah, I know it was a joke. The group came on time, no opener, and between the lights dimming, the fog entering the hall, the stage lights kicking in, the bass drum pulsing, it was a lot. Sensory overload a lot, in a very cool way, in a very in the EDM womb way. I was right about needing to experience that live. They opened with new stuff. I didn't know that it was new stuff, but my wife told me. In a loud room whisper shout, of course. I love that part about concerts. The crowd was vibing, though. It wasn't the dreaded new stuff feeling. It was the I listened to this at work and my coworkers have no idea energy. Leading up to the show, she had kept saying that she hoped they'd play Low Burn too. That's apparently one of her all-time favorite songs by them. So when they pulled it out third, I thought her head was going to explode. And she wasn't alone either. There was a visible ripple in the crowd when they pulled that one out. I loved the inside scoop of them not normally playing the song out live, just so I could see the reaction. Because we had the ADA section in front of us, which there's a bring a friend hack to this. You have the wheelchair or cane users with these incredible seats, almost always accompanied by a friend without a disability. And I am struggling for the language here. Correct me, please. I mean this more in the heartwarming sense and less in the it could be an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm sense. But it made for perfect crowd in crowd watching. You could see their faces, you could see the stage, and there was an ocean of bodies on the main floor in front of us with clear line of sight. By a few songs in, I already had some crazy observations I was starting to repeat to myself. There would be no on-the-spot note-taking for this. For starters, looking around, I realized people knew the words to songs like all the words to songs. Those weird stream of consciousness lyrics were nothing to me, but I was seeing people buzz along to phrases like, skyscraper, I love you, passionately. It's important you say it that way, I think. That's what they wanted, I'm sure. Another thing I noticed was the language of their music. I knew different songs would have different kick drums, but at kick you in the chest volume levels, the choices become that much more apparent. One song is an open palm push, another is a bald fist punch. The same types of variations show up in the breathy, synthy atmospheric noises. There's lighter and heavier versions you can feel in the room, and you already know how the leads and subs work. It's like standing in a corner and feeling a massive fire truck fly past you inches away, with or without the siren blaring. The dynamics revelation was obvious in retrospect, but still surprising in the moment. I always took the lack of overall dynamics in electronic music as one of my boredom factors. It's just always loud feeling to me. Rock, and especially, say, the Pixies, perfected the loud, soft, loud variation. Underworld doesn't really play that game. It's pretty much all loud all the time, but for what they lack in decibel variations, they make up for in the spectrum of frequency ranges and sonic textures they're exploring. I've written about Depeche Mode before, and how these other places they're playing with music that aren't based on dynamics and rhythm, where I usually get so much joy, are really, really cool to hear someone explore. This is what Jim tried to explain to me years ago, and experiencing it live, something he certainly had done way more than me, makes all the difference. The show ended. They did 2 sets with a brief intermission and performed for a solid 3 hours, if not closer to 4. The people around us that I could see their faces afterwards were elated, just pure joy and sweat, so much sweat. And my wife was already checking her health stats on her phone. She hadn't danced that many miles since Jazzy Jeff over the summer, and that's high praise translated for me in the way only a wife can, just so you know. Did you enjoy your first goth rave? Was mentioned. Yes, as a matter of fact, I did. And now I think I get it, which was true, because the way you can be in a room full of people, experience a music that lulls you to an inside your head state with the communal reality of a gigantic dance party that's as powerful as any church or great meal can ever be. I had to see the fans, honestly. I had to see and feel the music with the crowd reacting to really get Underworld. I had to see the 2 guys, Carl Hyde and Rick Smith, trading glances, and then the most brotherly of embraces at the front of the stage after they finished. I need all of that to know why it might not be my thing, but oh man, it is so cool to get to interlope on this thing that matters so much to so many people. Let this stand as a reminder to go see great art in the community, even if you don't understand what makes it great, with people you love. The world is such a cool place. The game of figuring out why my ADHD has so many ideas to chase. It's just wonderful. I invite you to go to culturecreative.com, read the essay yourself. I hope this audio visual version is helpful. I want to give a few shout outs from the footnotes here. First off, when people get this excited, you just have to notice there's a thing with signal that comes from people getting turned up, turned on, whatever by an idea, a band, a piece of art. People do that. Pay attention. It's such a curiosity hack. Even if you walk away not liking it, or I'm probably not going to casually throw Underworld on, but I love knowing that like there was thousands of people in that room losing their minds. That's an amazing thing to see. Uh, in terms of ADHD, I put this in the footnotes too. Power violence is a great style that I still catch myself going back to. Kenny, funny enough, my friend who loves Underworld loves both of these things together. I think that's really interesting to me because it's two very, very different types of ADHD. It's triggering listening to Spaz and the Ultimate Warriors versus Underworld and even like Depeche Mode and stuff. So I don't know what this is. I have an ADHD driven theory of music forming in my brain that could end up becoming a future essay. And the Skyscraper, I Love You, I have to footnote this too. I don't think they actually played that song, but I was very entertained by that lyric when I was, reading about them. Heavily, heavily entertained. And last but not least, I'll put a link to it. Maybe I'll get it up on the screen here. There's a live set. They just did a Boiler Room. I don't know how many tours these guys have left to go on. Like I said, late 60s, maybe even early 70s. This is a really cool bond, a really cool friendship that's been running since the 80s. They did a Boiler Room. If you've never heard them, check it out. Ideally, listen to it if you have a sub or something like you want to get the experience. It won't be the same as live, but see it. See the people vibing. It's a really cool thing. This is Matt's Cultish Corner, Matt's Cultish Review. I don't even remember what we call these. I got to start doing more of these. If you like this type of audio-visual essay, like, comment, whatever below. Let me know that you like me doing this. Maybe I'll do more. It's kind of fun to read something I write, not something I normally do. But hey, we're having fun on YouTube. You're watching Cultish Creative YouTube. Like, subscribe, all the things below, and we are out.